Tunisia, located at the crossroads of Africa, Europe, and the Middle East, has served as a cultural bridge for millennia. This North African nation's strategic position on the Mediterranean has made it a coveted prize for empires and a melting pot of civilizations, creating a unique identity that persists today. The earliest inhabitants of Tunisia were Berber peoples, who established settlements across the region thousands of years ago. These indigenous communities developed sophisticated agricultural techniques and trade networks that would prove crucial to future civilizations. Archaeological evidence suggests continuous human habitation dating back to the Paleolithic era, with cave paintings and stone tools discovered throughout the Atlas Mountains and coastal regions. The Berbers organized themselves into various tribes and kingdoms, most notably the Numidians, who would later play significant roles in Mediterranean politics. These early inhabitants developed distinct cultural practices, languages, and religious beliefs that would influence Tunisian society for centuries to come. In the 9th century BCE, Phoenician traders from the eastern Mediterranean established settlements along Tunisia's coast. The most significant of these was Carthage, founded in 814 BCE near present-day Tunis. According to legend, Queen Dido established the city after fleeing Tyre, creating what would become one of the ancient world's most powerful civilizations. Carthage evolved from a trading post into a maritime empire that dominated Mediterranean commerce. The Carthaginians developed advanced shipbuilding techniques, established colonies across North Africa, Spain, and the Mediterranean islands, and created extensive trade networks reaching as far as Britain and West Africa. Their agricultural innovations, including sophisticated irrigation systems, transformed Tunisia's landscape and economy. The city's wealth and power inevitably brought conflict with Rome. The Three Punic Wars would determine the fate of the Western Mediterranean. Hannibal's famous crossing of the Alps during the Second Punic War demonstrated Carthaginian military prowess, but ultimately, Rome's superior resources prevailed. In 146 BCE, Roman forces completely destroyed Carthage, marking the end of Carthaginian civilization. Rome's conquest transformed Tunisia into the province of Africa, with Carthage rebuilt as a Roman city. Under Roman administration, Tunisia experienced unprecedented prosperity. The Romans constructed extensive infrastructure including roads, aqueducts, theaters, and amphitheaters. Cities like Douga, El Jem, and Bulla Regia became showcases of Roman architectural achievement. Tunisia became Rome's primary grain supplier, earning the nickname Rome's Granary. Large estates produced wheat, olives, and wine for export throughout the empire. The Roman period also saw significant urban development, with Carthage becoming the second most important city in the Western Roman Empire after Rome itself. Christianity spread rapidly through Roman Tunisia, producing notable figures like St. Augustine's opponent Tertullian and St. Cyprian. The region became a center of early Christian theology and produced several influential church fathers. However, the Donatist controversy revealed tensions between Roman authority and local Christian communities. The Vandals, a Germanic tribe, conquered Tunisia in 429 CE under King Genseric. Their rule lasted for a century, during which they maintained much of the Roman administrative structure while establishing an Arian Christian kingdom. The Vandals proved capable administrators and continued Tunisia's role as a Mediterranean trading center. In 534 CE, Byzantine forces under General Belisarius reconquered Tunisia for the Eastern Roman Empire. The Byzantines restored Orthodox Christianity and rebuilt many Roman monuments. However, their rule was marked by heavy taxation and religious persecution of both Arian Christians and traditional Berber beliefs, creating widespread resentment that would facilitate the subsequent Arab conquest. The Arab conquest of Tunisia began in 647. CE and was completed by 698 CE with the capture of Carthage. The Arabs, led by commanders like Uqba ibn Nafi and Hassan ibn al-Numan, faced fierce resistance from Berber populations, most notably from the legendary Queen Kahina, who led a confederation of Berber tribes against the invaders. The establishment of Karawang in 670 CE marked a turning point in Tunisian history. Founded by Uqba ibn Nafi, Karawang became the first major Islamic city in North Africa and a center for Islamic learning and jurisprudence. The Great Mosque of Karawang, one of Islam's oldest mosques, became a pilgrimage destination and center of Islamic scholarship. Islamization proceeded gradually, with many Berbers initially adopting heterodox forms of Islam like Kharijism before eventually embracing Sunni orthodoxy. The Arabic language spread throughout urban areas, though Berber languages persisted in rural regions. Several Islamic dynasties ruled Tunisia during the medieval period, each contributing to its cultural and architectural heritage. The Aghlabids, semi-autonomous governors under the Abbasid Caliphate, transformed Tunisia into a major naval power. They conquered Sicily and launched raids against southern Italy while beautifying Karawang with magnificent palaces and mosques. The Fatimids established their capital at Mahdia and used Tunisia as a launching pad for their conquest of Egypt. This Shia dynasty promoted trade and scholarship while constructing impressive fortifications and architectural monuments. The Zirids initially ruled as Fatimid vassals but later declared independence and converted to Sunni Islam. Their revolt prompted the Fatimids to send the destructive Banu Hilal tribes into Tunisia, causing significant demographic and cultural changes as these nomadic Arabs disrupted settled agriculture and urban life. The Almohads brought Tunisia under Maghribi unity, promoting architectural innovations and religious reform. Their austere interpretation of Islam influenced Tunisian religious practices, while their architectural legacy includes numerous mosques and fortifications. The Hafsid dynasty represented Tunisia's medieval Golden Age. These descendants of a prominent Almohad family established an independent kingdom centered in Tunis, which became one of the Mediterranean's most important cities. The Hafsids promoted trade, scholarship, and architectural development while maintaining diplomatic relations with Christian European powers. Under Hafsid rule, Tunisia became a haven for Muslim refugees from Christian reconquest in Spain. These Andalusian immigrants brought advanced agricultural techniques, crafts, and architectural styles that enriched Tunisian culture. The Medina of Tunis expanded significantly during this period, with numerous mosques, madrasas, and palaces constructed. The Hafsids also promoted intellectual life, with Tunis becoming a center for Islamic scholarship. The dynasty's long rule provided stability that allowed commerce and culture to flourish, making Tunisia one of the most prosperous regions in the medieval Islamic world. The Ottoman Empire gradually incorporated Tunisia between 1534 and 1574, initially as a response to Spanish threats in the Western Mediterranean. However, Ottoman rule in Tunisia developed unique characteristics. The Ottomans appointed governors who gradually gained autonomy, eventually establishing hereditary rule under the Muradid and Hassanid dynasties. The Hassanid dynasty, established in 1705 by Hussein ibn Ali, ruled Tunisia as autonomous Ottoman vassals until 1957. Under their leadership, Tunisia maintained its distinct identity while benefiting from Ottoman protection. The Beys modernized the military, promoted trade, and engaged in diplomatic relations with European powers. During the 18th and 19th centuries, Tunisia became increasingly integrated into Mediterranean and European trade networks. Tunis developed into a cosmopolitan city with significant Jewish, Christian, and European merchant communities. The regency's strategic position made it an important player in Mediterranean diplomacy and commerce. The 19th century brought increasing European pressure on Tunisia. French expansion in neighboring Algeria, British interests in Mediterranean trade routes, and Italian territorial ambitions created a complex diplomatic environment. Tunisian rulers attempted various reforms to modernize their state and resist European encroachment. Ahmed Bey launched ambitious modernization programs, including military reform, infrastructure development, and the abolition of slavery. His successors continued these efforts, adopting new legal codes and administrative structures. However, financial difficulties resulting from expensive modernization projects and unfavorable trade agreements weakened the Beylik's independence. The construction of modern Tunis, with wide boulevards and European-style buildings, reflected attempts to modernize while maintaining cultural identity. Educational reforms introduced European languages and sciences while preserving Islamic scholarship traditions. In 1881, France established a protectorate over Tunisia through the Treaty of Bardo, using the pretext of border incidents with Algeria. Unlike Algeria, which was incorporated directly into France, Tunisia retained its governmental structure under French supervision. The Bey remained as a figurehead while French residents-general exercised real power. French colonial policy in Tunisia followed the doctrine of association rather than assimilation. This meant preserving traditional institutions while introducing French administrative and legal systems. The protectorate invested heavily in infrastructure, building railways, ports, and modern cities. But these developments primarily served French interests. Colonial rule brought significant social changes. French settlers acquired the best agricultural lands, while Tunisian artisans faced competition from European manufactured goods. However, the protectorate also created new opportunities for education and modernization that would benefit the nationalist movement. Tunisian nationalism emerged in the early 20th century, led by educated elites who had experienced French education and culture. The Young Tunisian movement, founded in 1907, advocated for constitutional government and equal rights. After World War I, nationalist demands intensified under the leadership of the Dastoor Party. Habib Bourguiba emerged as the dominant nationalist leader after founding the Neo-Dastoor Party in 1934. His strategy combined legal political action with popular mobilization, appealing to both traditional and modern elements of Tunisian society. Bourguiba's charismatic leadership and pragmatic approach gradually built a mass movement for independence. World War II complicated the independence struggle. Tunisia became a battlefield between Axis and Allied forces, with the population suffering under German occupation and Allied bombing. However, the war weakened French power and strengthened nationalist resolve. Post-war negotiations led to gradual autonomy, culminating in full independence on March 20, 1956. Bourguiba became prime minister and later president, establishing Tunisia as a republic in 1957 after abolishing the monarchy. Habib Bourguiba dominated Tunisian politics from independence until 1987. His presidency brought radical social reforms, including women's rights legislation that was among the most progressive in the Arab world. The Personal Status Code of 1956 abolished polygamy, established women's right to divorce, and mandated education for girls. Bourguiba pursued a modernist agenda, promoting secularization while respecting Islamic identity. Tunisia's family planning program became a model for developing countries. His government invested heavily in education, healthcare, and infrastructure, creating a relatively educated and healthy population. However, Bourguiba's rule became increasingly authoritarian. The Neo-Dastoor Party dominated politics, suppressing opposition and limiting political freedoms. Economic policies emphasized import substitution and state-led development with mixed results. In 1987, Prime Minister Zine El Abidine Ben Ali removed the aging Bourguiba in a bloodless coup, promising democratic reforms and economic liberalization. Initially popular, Ben Ali's rule gradually became more repressive. While implementing market-oriented economic reforms, his government systematically eliminated political opposition and civil society organizations. Ben Ali's regime promoted economic growth through privatization, export promotion, and tourism development. Tunisia achieved relatively high living standards and literacy rates compared to regional neighbors. The regime banned independent political parties, censored media, and imprisoned human rights activists. However, corruption became endemic, with the president's extended family controlling major sectors of the economy. Political repression intensified throughout the 1990s and 2000s. Islamist movements faced particular persecution, with thousands of Ennahda Party members imprisoned or exiled. Military refusal to fire on protesters, combined with international pressure and elite divisions, forced Ben Ali to flee the country on January 14, 2011. Tunisia sparked the Arab Spring when street vendor Mohamed Bouazizi immolated himself in December 2010, protesting police corruption and economic desperation. His death triggered nationwide demonstrations that combined economic grievances with demands for political freedom and dignity. The regime's violent response failed to suppress the uprising. Tunisia became the first Arab country to successfully overthrow an authoritarian ruler through popular protest. The transition period proved challenging but ultimately successful. Despite political instability, terrorist attacks, and economic difficulties, Tunisia managed to establish democratic institutions. The 2014 constitution, negotiated through inclusive dialogue, created a parliamentary system with strong civil liberties protections. Modern Tunisia faces significant challenges while building its democracy. Economic problems include high unemployment, regional disparities, and the need for structural reforms. Security threats from neighboring Libya and internal extremist groups have required careful balancing of security needs with democratic freedoms. However, Tunisia has achieved remarkable progress in democratization. Free and fair elections have become routine, with peaceful transfers of power between different political parties. Civil society organizations operate freely, and media enjoys unprecedented freedom compared to the authoritarian era. The 2015 Nobel Peace Prize awarded to the Tunisian National Dialogue Quartet recognized the country as successful democratic transition. This coalition of civil society organizations mediated political crises and helped establish consensus on democratic institutions. Tunisia's experience demonstrates both the possibilities and challenges of democratic transition in the Arab world. While economic and security challenges persist, the country has established itself as a model for peaceful political change and democratic governance in a region marked by authoritarianism and conflict. Today, Tunisia continues its democratic journey, working to consolidate institutions while addressing economic and social challenges. Its unique position as the Arab Spring's only democratic success story makes it a crucial test case for the possibility of sustainable democracy in the Middle East and North Africa region.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more engaging historical content.